Hey, what's up, guys? Now, I've been down the nice guy road in many relationships, and I want to help you get the relationship that you deserve. So, today, we're going to expose the single most destructive lie that the nice guy believes. The lie that if he stops being the ever agreeable, easy partner, she'll get angry or she'll pull away and ultimately stop loving him. This fear is real, but the story you've built around it is completely false. That is why I'm going to show you that the exact behavior you use to secure her love, such as constant agreement and self-suppression, is actually the only thing that guarantees you lose her respect and desire. And I'll give you a simple daily practice called the boundary check that will completely dismantle this fear. When you feel that paralyzing panic about asserting yourself, it feels like a necessary defense. You genuinely believe that harmony is created by submission and a peaceful relationship means never rocking the boat. You think, if I say no to her, I'm putting the relationship at risk. But the deep truth, the one that sets you free, is that love, appreciation, and desire are not conditional on your agreement. They're conditional on your depth. When you choose to agree against your own truth to avoid tension, she doesn't feel loved. She feels alone and unsafe because she's connecting with a man who disappears under pressure. Now, here's my plan for this video. Over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 3 essential shifts. First, we'll trace the ancient root of this fear of losing her love and show you why your panic around disagreement isn't your fault. Next, we'll look at the safety of the independent leader, explaining why your inner stability is the only thing that creates genuine, lasting connection with her. And finally, I'm going to give you the boundary check practice, which is a simple, low-pressure action that you can take to rebuild your self-respect and take the necessary steps to eliminate the fear of abandonment in your relationship. Now, I want to clarify one thing before we move on. I'm not claiming to have the perfect answer to this topic, but as someone who has lived that fear, I know the feeling of the knot in your stomach when you know you should speak up, but you suppress all of that to keep the peace in the relationship. That fear that you'll lose love if you show your true self, that's probably the biggest blockage to expressing the 7 codes of primal masculine attraction that I have previously discussed on this channel. And after guiding many men to break through this barrier, I'm convinced that cultivating a strong inner stability is about stepping out of the self-betrayal and into a grounded discipline within yourself. It's time to find the love that you literally cannot lose. So let's dive in. Let's start by tracing this back to its source, the ancient root of agreement. First, you must become aware that your fear is not random. The moment you consider setting a boundary or stating a preference that might displease her, you feel that sudden clenching in your chest. That sudden clenching is the trauma signal of the little boy inside of you who learned a long time ago that agreement equals survival. You see, for many of us, love was conditional. We learned that the easiest way to keep the peace and to keep the approval flowing was to suppress the truth of our needs. We became masters of shape-shifting. We tend to agree not because we genuinely feel that way, but because we fear the emotional consequences of disagreement. Every time you agree when you want to say no, you are choosing her potential approval over your actual self-respect. Now, the lie that we tell ourselves, and we do a lot of this unconsciously, by the way, is that this suppression protects the relationship. But in reality, this pattern, which begins with self-betrayal, guarantees a loss of connection and sexual desire. And this brings us to the safety of the independent leader. When you operate from chronic agreement, you create a deep relational issue that's not about logistics, it's about polarity. Your partner, the feminine, instinctively needs to feel the presence of a strong, contained masculine form. She needs to feel the edges of her man. When you constantly agree and soften your boundaries, she feels disconnected from reality. She feels like she's talking to an echo and she feels lonely. She perceives your boundaryless behavior not as loving, but as unsafe because you are showing her that you're not capable of leading or containing the relationship when real tension arises. She begins to lose trust, not in you as a person, but in your ability to hold space for the both of you. She does not crave agreement. She craves a man who is safe because he is solid, a man with grounded discipline. So how do you fundamentally move past the fear that her anger means the end of her love? It starts by embracing the love you cannot lose. The most powerful frame of the elevated lover is the realization that your source of love and worth is internal. Her anger is not a verdict on your acceptability. Her emotional response is simply temporary emotional weather. When you recognize that you are the source of your own worth and you are aligned with your own passion and purpose, her disapproval loses its power to collapse you. The only love that you can truly lose is the one you abandon in yourself by betraying your own needs for her approval. The moment you stop seeking her validation to feel whole, the need for agreement disappears and your true depth and self-respect shine through. Now, this brings us to the tangible thing that you can do today, the boundary check. Your immediate action is to practice one low-stakes assertion every day for the next week. This is not about starting a fight, it's about rebuilding your muscle for integrity. Maybe it's choosing a different restaurant for dinner, or simply stating, I need 30 minutes of quiet time when I get home to decompress, without justifying it. The key is what happens after you state the assertion. When she inevitably becomes upset, resistant, or frustrated, resist the immediate nice guy urge to fix her feelings or apologize for your boundary. Instead, ground your body, take a deep breath, and calmly state this phrase, I hear that you're upset, and I still stand by my decision. This is an act of discipline. You're modeling self-love and holding the tension without collapsing. Remember, this act of self-possession is one of the most powerful things that you can do to rebuild both her trust and her desire. It shows her that your integrity is non-negotiable, and that's what truly makes you the independent leader. Look, what we unhooked today is that paralyzing fear that drives the nice guy, the lie of conditional love. We saw that your constant agreement isn't a strategy for peace, it's a trauma response that makes your partner feel unsafe because you lack grounded internal structure. Your expectation going into this video might have been that you needed a new verbal technique to soften her when you assert yourself, but the reality that beats that expectation is this. You don't need a technique to handle her emotion. You need depth to contain your own fear. The truth is, her resistance is not a sign of rejection. It's an invitation for you to model discipline. She needs to know that your self-respect is non-negotiable. So here's your final insight. The man who is truly loved is not the man who never says no. He's the man who cannot be collapsed. When you reclaim your sovereignty through the boundary check, you stop being the boy who's terrified of losing love and you step into the man who is the source of it. And that, more than anything else, is what she desires. And if you agree with that, comment boundary check in the comment section below so that I know that this hit home with you. Now, go find one small thing today and say no to it just for you. Remember, if you want to master the 7 energies that flip her desire back online, go check out the free video training over at elevatedlover.com. And if you're serious about moving from the nice guy's fear to the elevated lover's grounded power, make sure that you subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you next time.